let's go find out what monstrosity we have made. I have mixed feelings. It's buttering time. Today, we are going to be testing 6 of the most common coffee hacks that you see floating around the internet. We're going to be trying all of them. We're going to be drinking quite a bit of coffee, and we're also going to be talking about whether these are things that are real and useful when it comes to your coffee brewing, or perhaps things that lean a little bit more towards myth in terms of their usefulness. So, lots to do today. It's going to be very fun. Without further ado, let's get started with hack number 1. I don't know what this is. Hack number 1, everyone. Our first hack involves the addition of one simple pantry ingredient to your coffee. That ingredient being salt. Now, before we talk more about this, let's start brewing some coffee. Now, the idea behind this hack is to temper the bitterness in your coffee. One note at the beginning of this is that coffee is inherently bitter as a drink. When we think about a balanced cup of coffee, typically we are thinking about sweetness, we're thinking about acidity, and we're also thinking about bitterness. And all 3 of these components work together to create something that's really tasty. However, when you have over-extracted coffee, when you have overly roasted coffee or coffee that's roasted poorly, typically that bitterness tends to skyrocket and dominate the cup. So the idea here is that we have a little pinch of salt, and a little addition of this can temper and round off that bitterness, bringing us back down to that level of balance. I'm working today with a coffee that I am very, very familiar with. I brew this all the time, and I am intentionally over-extracting this. I want to make a cup of coffee that is pretty drying and astringent and bitterness, so that we can see if we add a little bit of salt, if we can bring it back down to a nice level. Now we wait patiently for our coffee to finish draining. We are so close. Okie dokie. Salt time. Now, just to confirm that this coffee is out of balance, let's have a little taste. There's a lot going on in there. Let's add some salt. Now, for this hack, we are not looking to add a lot of salt. This is a single cup of coffee, around 250 mils. We're just gonna use a little tiny pinch. Give this a stir and let it dissolve. And let's have another taste. Now, this hack is something that works and can be a really easy tool to bring back over-extracted or overly bitter cups of coffee. Salt in coffee is something that I utilize a lot, especially when it comes to syrups that go into coffee. You will notice if you have made any of my basic syrup recipes, there is almost always a generous amount of salt in it. And this is because truly salt both acts as a tempering measure for bitterness, but also it acts as a really great binder and kind of emulsifier for flavor. You'll see this technique used quite a bit in cocktails. A lot of bartenders, a lot of cocktails have just a little bit of salt added to them, and it's really to just bind everything together. It's not to make things taste salty, but it's this little magic dust that makes everything taste delicious, and your brain doesn't always know why. But the answer is salt. It's usually salt. Should you be adding salt to all of your coffee? Ideally, no. A delicious, well-extracted, well-roasted, and produced cup of coffee should not need salt. However, if you find yourself in the scenario where you have a cup of coffee that is perhaps lacking, a tiny pinch of salt could be the solution. So we're gonna count this hack as very real and useful. Hack number 2 has to do with coffee storage, in that if you put your coffee in the fridge, you can extend its lifetime. Now, this is a false hack. Do not put your coffee in the fridge. You are better off putting your coffee in a cool, dry place on your counter than you are in the fridge. And this is specifically because in the fridge, a lot of moisture and condensation can form, which can cause your coffee beans to degrade far faster than usual. Additionally, coffee is like baking soda in the way that it absorbs the odors of things around it. So if you have a stinky fridge, which no shame, sometimes I have a stinky fridge, you are more than likely going to degrade your coffee in terms of aroma and flavor beyond just the beans themselves. So in the fridge is a bad place. However, I think the reason that people think they can put their coffee in the fridge is because you can't put your coffee in the freezer. So let me show you how you can do that. This rather suspicious looking bag of coffee is from early 2024, and this is a bag that I pulled out of the freezer earlier today to show you how you can safely extend the lifetime of your coffee by putting it in the freezer. Freezing your coffee is actually an awesome hack. It's something I recommend you do, especially if you are buying higher end coffees that you don't want to drink immediately. However, with doing this, there are a couple things that you should keep in mind. First things first, you'll notice that I have this sealed in a vacuum sealed bag. You don't necessarily have to use a vacuum sealed bag, but you do want to store your coffee in some sort of container that is airtight and ideally has most of the air pressed out of it. You'll see a lot of people freeze their coffee in tubes. Those work really well. You'll see some people use small jars where the coffee doesn't have a lot of headroom. Whatever you choose to do, make sure that there is limited to no air in it. Additionally, if you are freezing your coffee, I highly recommend freezing it in smaller quantities, ideally the amount you would brew in one single use. Freezing coffee allows you to keep coffees for many months, up to even several years. However, once you remove your coffee from the freezer, it will start degrading again at a much faster rate, meaning ideally you are using it immediately or within 24 hours. So freezing large batches, entire bags, if you're pulling them from the freezer, try to use them quickly. Otherwise, I do highly recommend sectioning them off into small amounts, whether that's in a vac seal bag or a jar or a tube or whatever have you. Now, if you're looking to get into freezing, I will link a bunch of different resources down below that I highly recommend you check out before diving into this. However, the last important thing I will mention here is that make sure you rest your coffee prior to freezing. So make sure the coffee that you want to drink is what's going in the freezer, not the coffee that in 2 weeks is the coffee you want to drink. This is due to the fact that you will want to use that coffee immediately after pulling out, so you don't have that rest time on the other end of freezing. You want to make sure it is as ready to go immediately. But story of this hack, do not put your coffee in the fridge. It is actively detrimental, but maybe do put your coffee in the freezer. You decide. Okay, let me get my brewer again, and I'll be right back.
I want to give a huge thank you to Trade for sponsoring today's video. If you want to explore new coffees but don't have the time or energy to constantly be looking for your next bag, let me recommend one of my favorite ways to keep my morning lineup interesting without thinking too much. Trade Coffee is a coffee subscription service and the #1 destination in the US for both hot and cold coffee drinkers. If you drink coffee regularly, this is the place to shop from available coffees from over 55 of the top roasters in the US. No matter what type of roast level or flavor profile you like, Trade has something for you. You can take Trade's quick quiz to get started, and if your first bag isn't your favorite, you can get it replaced for free as part of their first bag guarantee policy. Trade will deliver freshly roasted coffee straight to your front door at the cadence that works best for you. And as an extra bonus, you can get 40% off your first order at drinktrade.com/MDC. That's drinktrade.com/MDC for 40% off your first order, or you can always click the top link in the description. Thank you again to Trade for sponsoring today's video.
Welcome back. Our third hack of the day is that we are going to be talking about adding spices to your ground coffee prior to brewing in order to flavor your coffee. Now, this is an easy way to add flavor to your coffee if that is something you like. This is not typically something I do, but I'm excited to try it. Today, we are going to be putting ground cinnamon in our grounds before brewing. Now, the coffee I have here is a nice medium roast, just like everyday drinking blend, so I think this will give us the highly likelihood of success here. I don't really have a science to the cinnamon I'm adding. I'm gonna add 1.5 grams. That feels right. Cinnamon is something that seemingly you measure with your heart, and that's what we're doing here. We'll give our cinnamon and coffee a good mix up, and then we'll brew like usual. Off the bat, we have delightful smells happening in our brewer. It's like, I want to call this is like, it's like a co-ferment, but not quite. Now, the nice thing about this, in theory, is that we're able to add the spiced cinnamon flavor, which is very cozy and comforting, without adding it in the form of a syrup. So we get the flavor, but we don't have added sweetness, which maybe that will be good, maybe it will be bad. This smells great. I can't even lie to you, this smells awesome right now. It's smells like Christmas is what it smells like. Okay, let's taste. You all, I'm excited for this. I think by smell alone, this could be an actually very lovely experience. If memory serves me correct, I think I might have put cinnamon grounds in my coffee a very, very long time ago, and I don't remember having a positive experience there, but whatever is happening today is a lot stronger off the bat. Cheers. You know what? Hang on. Oh, I hate that I like this. This is nice. Okay, so here's the thing. This is not something that I would drink every day. Not in the slightest. I would vastly prefer just a standard unflavored cup of coffee to this. However, this on its own, just as a little treat, it works really nicely. The cinnamon is subtle. It is very present. This honestly tastes like some cinnamon co-ferments I've had in the past. It's very cozy. There is a weirdly increased tactile to this. Like the texture is a little bit more round, a little bit smoother, kind of in the way that a French press is over like a standard pour over. It's nice. It's you know, and it kind of works. I do think the coffee I'm using plays a very major role in this. The fact that this is a more traditional medium roast, it's a blend, it's a very like chocolatey and dark cherry forward coffee. I think that makes the cinnamon work a lot better. I would not try this with something that's super light and bright and acidic, but you know what? If you're gonna do this, this is pretty tasty. I think the cinnamon as well adds this perceived sweetness that really is nice in the cup. There is no sugar in this. However, I think when you taste cinnamon, you commonly think of confectionery and sweet things. So that kind of like allows your brain to play tricks on you and makes you think the coffee is a little bit sweeter than it is, which, hey, if that's your thing, that's pretty nice. Is this a hack that I would use every day? Probably not, but is this something that works and yields something pretty tasty? I would say yes. For our next hack, we are going to be using our espresso machine. Now, we are going to be doing something today that I have never done before because frankly, it causes me both fear and pain when I see other people do it, whether that is valid or not. Today, we are going to be making a Cubano shot. Now, the Cafe Cubano is a very traditional Cuban coffee drink. Traditionally, it is made with mocha pot coffee. You have demerara or brown sugar, and then you also have your mocha pot coffee. The first few drops of your mocha pot coffee, you whip together with the sugar, creating a kind of like aerated foam. You then add the rest of your mocha pot coffee, and it yields you something that is frothy and textured and very sweet. Delicious. And this is kind of a take on this. I sometimes see people referring to this as a Cubano. This is not a Cubano. This is a Cubano style espresso shot. I think there's an important distinction there because it is a very traditional drink made in a specific way. However, what we're going to be doing today is adding espresso coffee, ground coffee for espresso to our portafilter basket. We're then going to be adding a layer of brown sugar. One could also use demerara, and we're going to extract it. Now, the reason that this often causes me inscrutable pain is the fact that the idea of putting sugar anywhere near the internals of my espresso machine, especially up here in the shower head, it makes me nervous. It makes me so nervous, even if I know that there isn't like a back pole that's gonna draw the sugar up into my machine. It's really expensive and I don't wanna risk it. However, I'm willing to go through this pain with you for our sake today. So let's get started, okay? Espresso in. I keep saying espresso. The grounds are in. I'll treat this like a normal shot of espresso, do a little bit of distribution, tamp. And now we just pile that sugar right on in. You know, this looks so pretty, but it feels so wrong. I do feel like I'm doing arts and crafts a little bit. I'm aiming just to get a nice single kind of flat layer here, not looking to pile in the sugar. We want a little bit of headroom in our basket. I imagine most of this is going to dissolve in the initial part of the extraction. Okay, that is something for sure. Now, one thing I am going to do, just because like genuinely, like my body is telling me not to put this in my espresso machine, I'm going to put a puck screen on top of my brown sugar just to really reduce as much of that sugar expansion as possible. One thing I will also note is that if you are doing this, just make sure you clean your machine afterwards. Like, even if sugar isn't like getting sucked up back into the machine, like you don't want this sticking on your shower screen or anything else. I suppose that's all I can do to warn you. Let's go see how this extracts. Okay, nice and snug. Oh, aren't we locking in? Okay, give me a second. Okay, funny problem that I'm having right now. My basket is actually overfilled right now, and this is not locking into my group head. So let's do that arts and crafts one more time. For those of you curious, this is what our puck looks like right now. I've dropped my dose by 2 grams of coffee. Hopefully that's enough. Take 2. Success. You know, it hurts me, but I'm also fascinated by it. So far, this looks like a pretty normal extraction. Let's go find out what monstrosity we have made. Cheers. I have mixed feelings. Does this taste like a shot of espresso with a good bit of brown sugar? Yes. Is that something that is tasty? Yes, for the most part. I'm not someone who likes sugar directly in my espresso, but like, it's sweet, it's bitter, it's all the things. Do I like how I made this? Not really, no. Could I achieve the same thing by adding brown sugar into my pulled shot of espresso? Probably. Look, I think a lot of my trepidation with this truly comes from the fact that I am concerned about machine care and think this is very, very achievable without doing all the things that you do to get to what we have made right here. However, if this is something that you choose to do, because frankly, I think this added to a little bit of milk would make a delicious sweet latte. If you do that, just take care and make sure you are either using a puck screen or making sure that you are quickly cleaning your machine after you make this shot. You know what? One of the things that I've done today, which perhaps is a moment of growth for me, is that I can now say that I have pulled a Cubano-styled espresso shot, which I was holding out as like a, I've never done this before. But no more. I don't know, I keep coming back and sipping it, which is usually my indicator that we've made something tasty here. So as a hack, do I recommend this? Maybe not, but does it work and give you something tasty? If you like sweet coffees, this might be something you enjoy. In the vein of adding interesting things to our coffee, for our next and penultimate hack, we are going to be adding butter to our coffee. This is something known as bulletproof coffee and has been around for a while. It is a keto-friendly way of making something that is a little bit creamier and softer and latte-like without the addition of milk. Of note, I am not someone who is keto. However, I do love butter, so I am excited about this. The worst part is the waiting, isn't it? It's buttering time. Okie dokie, we're gonna add some butter. Some butter, some coffee. I think we are starting to see very clear signs that I have had both too much coffee and also maybe too much sugar this morning. Once more, this feels like a measure with your heart scenario. This is a little half pad of unsalted butter. It just kind of floats on the top, doesn't it? Let's see if we can encourage this to melt. Now, one suggestion I saw quite a bit online when it comes to bulletproof coffee, and this sort of hack is to froth and emulsify it, give it a little bit of texture, so let's do that. You do get kind of a nice, like, slight little frothy head on this. Cheers. Oh, it's all butter in the aroma, isn't it? Would I describe this as latte-like? I would not. However, you know, here's the thing. It is butter and coffee. I don't think this creates something that is greater than the sum of its parts. I do truly feel like I'm just drinking butter and coffee. However, it's not the worst thing I've ever consumed. I might actually prefer drinking a full cup of this to the Cubano shot that we just had. What if I added salt to this? This is called a full circle moment, where we come back to the beginning of the video. Now I think I'm just making a signature beverage. Look, you can add butter to your coffee. Do I think it makes something that is particularly nice? Not really. It's very, very coating on the lips in its kind of fattiness. However, if you are fully opposed to adding any other type of fat, be it dietary or anything else, like maybe this is a nice little solution to kind of fix that craving. I'm gonna say that we are not coming to a conclusion on this hack. I think this is something that is so fully not made for me that I cannot pass any judgment on this. If you like butter in your coffee, more power to you. It's just, I want toast is what I want right now. At long last, we are on to our final hack, which does involve putting another ingredient into coffee, but this one I think makes a good amount of sense. For this hack, if you are someone looking to lower the acidity of coffee, if you are someone that has a lot of issues with stomach acid or any sort of heartburn, something you can do is add a tiny pinch of baking soda into your coffee in order to reduce the pH. Baking soda is an alkaline, and so by adding just a tiny bit, we're able to reduce the acidity in our coffee and also ultimately end up with something that maybe is a little bit smoother and a little bit rounder. So, tiny pinch. This is maybe an 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's really nothing. We'll give this a stir, although everything dissolves really nicely on its own, and we'll have a taste. Now, what I'm looking for here is not necessarily the effects of the baking soda in the coffee, but what it does to the flavor. There's definitely a very, very faint hint of graininess in here that wasn't there before, but additionally, I would say everything feels a little bit rounded out. I would say, honestly, everything in the cup feels a little bit more muted than before, but it doesn't make a drastic change to the coffee, which I think is a really good thing when it comes to adding baking soda to your coffee. Will this help you if you suffer from heartburn when drinking a lot of coffee? Potentially. And the good news is this doesn't really do much to the taste of it. Now, we are at the end of today's videos. These were quite a lot of hacks. We did quite a few things today. Some of them good and maybe some of them not so good. So hopefully if you are ever planning on doing any of these yourself, this should give you a good foundation to work off. Now, as usual, my name is Morgan. You can find me here on YouTube typically once a week, plus shorts, or Instagram and TikTok almost every single day. This was fun. This was over-caffeinating. I feel very hyperactive, so I'm gonna go walk around for a little bit, and I'll see you all next time. Have a good week, everyone.